We are live again. Good evening. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to the Protege Parenting Twitch channel, YouTube, however you're viewing this. I'm Josh. This is Jessica. We live with our 5 kids on an acreage in central Iowa. This is part 2 of our parenting principles session, I suppose, or stream. We
Yeah.
started on Tuesday and then ended after a while realized we should split this up. We have so many principles, and I guess we like to talk about them. So we needed to spread things out a little bit. So we're gonna keep rolling on those. Let's see. I'm gonna start with this one I thought was kind of a fun would be a fun one to talk about. I don't know how much of a like a main principle it is, like, but I think it was something that was really good we changed. I had down for kids to eat the same things. So I
Mm.
remember when the kids were really little and we went through where they were picky eaters, and Jessica was making us something and then making them a separate meal, and something just clicked with me and I thought, no, that's not right. We're going to change that. And so we started making our kids eat what we eat, and I think that started also a lot of just other good habits. So things, mealtime for us, I mean, there's some good rules around mealtime. Mealtime, we have some set standards, and I think that that translates to a lot of parenting different things. So big thing is you're going to eat what we eat. There are no separate making of foods. Jessica's not making, she's already got enough on her plate. She's not going to be making a ton of other things because the kids don't want to eat that stuff. Jessica's making dinner, and this is what's for dinner. If you don't want to eat that, then you go hungry. We also do. You don't get any refills of anything until everything on your plate is gone. Um, if you don't finish a meal, you don't get a snack before the next meal. If you're not going to eat your broccoli or peas or whatever, that's fine. You can get down, but you don't get anything else until the next meal.
Mhm.
And kids, I think kids, we've really seen that the kids will their eating habits are defined by what they're trained to do. I mean, even myself,
Absolutely.
I noticed when I was going on like a bodybuilding diet and I was cutting weight, it was chicken and rice and really boring foods, and it was awful. But within about 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, I was craving that stuff and I was so ready to eat it, and it tasted great. And so I think that's also evident in children's eating habits as well. There's a study out there that I think is really cool, that they took expecting mothers, and they took 50% of them and they had them eat carrots every day. It was just like one serving of carrots a day. The mothers would eat, and then for the whole 9 months of pregnancy, and there was a just a overwhelming positive response that those children throughout the rest of their lives preferred carrots over any other vegetable. So I think there's a lot of information out there that that diet as soon as the mother is pregnant is super influencing on children. And so having good eating habits and good meal habits, is super important. If your kids only eat, when parents tell me, oh, my children will only eat chicken nuggets or pizza, it's like, yeah, that's because that's all you've trained them to eat. I guarantee you, our kids, they don't eat breakfast because they don't like it. Okay, you don't get a snack. Okay, now it's time for lunch. They're going to eat whatever is put in front of their face for lunch, and that's how you train them to eat good foods. Every kid goes through a picky stage, and when they get through that picky stage, you stay consistent, give them the right foods, give them the foods that are good for them, and they'll pick up on it and they'll be better for it.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways that we did that was not just expecting them to eat what we made, but was to set them up for success with that. So portion size was huge, giving them smaller portions. That was actually something Josh called me out on. He said, "Hey, if you're going to expect if we as a team are going to expect them to eat that food, whatever food it is that we're putting on the plate, because it's not always just the broccoli and veggies and that kind of stuff that they don't want to eat. Sometimes it's the weird casserole that mom made, or I don't really like noodles that much, or I don't like these noodles, or I don't like that meat. There's a whole list of things that it could be. So he called me out on just making sure that we were giving them the right size portions of food if we were going to expect them to eat it. So, if you have a 2-year-old eating food, you're not going to give them this big of a serving of whatever casserole. Give them, something this big. I don't even know. That's my kid example. So I guess I could have said like a cup of casserole versus fourth of a cup of casserole, whatever it is. Um, and then expect them to eat that. But yeah, I think that's really helped them all grow up and be well-rounded eaters. And just also it's created like self-discipline and knowing, hey, I just have to eat that thing because one, it's probably good for my body. Usually it's a vegetable, let's be real. It's probably good. It's nutrient dense, things that I need to eat that are healthy for me. Um, yeah, and I can't remember what my second point was. I lost it. But that's just well, and I just need to obey. Like I need to obey. Mom and dad have taught me, this is what I need to do and follow through with that obedience. So
Yeah,
it's
meal
good.
training starts with someone taking 2 hours to eat a piece of broccoli, and it ends after how many months it takes them, or weeks, or days. Each kid is different, but it ends with them going, "All right, I'll eat that." So we just get it over with. They know we're serious.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the other things we did was making sure, well, I think our number one rule at dinner was that you had to eat the vegetable no matter what. If you didn't want to finish the rest of your food and you didn't want to eat anything else, that's fine. You weren't going to have a snack and you weren't going to have dessert, but you needed to at least eat your vegetable. And if you wanted dessert or if you wanted a snack later, whatever, depending on whatever meal it was, your plate needed to be cleared. And that kind of became a rule consistently.
Here we go. This could be a good one. Um,
My necklace is
so I had down a big principle for us is to focus on your children's reactions instead of other people. So this has kind of been a big one for me. It started small, but I've realized how important this is over the long term for things, and just how much more it relates to the world than I even realized when I kind of started instilling this in my kids. But uh, you know, for an example of what I mean by that is when a kid is when your child is playing with other kids and somebody doesn't want to share, or somebody takes a toy, I always tell my children, you can't control that other person, you can't control what happened, but you can control yourself. So just because somebody took a toy from you doesn't mean we lose our temper, hit that person, speak badly of them. Unfortunately, people have taken things from me, stolen things from me, done things. I have coworkers that did things that weren't right to me, and I can't control any of that. And the only thing I can do is control my attitude and the way I respond. So I think it's a good lesson for kids that will transfer to the rest of their lives, and things that are good for them to learn. There's a lot there still. The way people, um, the way they see the world and people treat them, even with sports, that even transfers to sports. I was just telling my son, he was pitching in another game and was doing an awesome job. I think he had two strikeouts. Another batter comes up and his teammate dropped a fly ball, and then it just kind of started, a series of errors on their team. And he was frustrated because he's like, I should have been out of that inning way quicker. I got them to,
mm,
pop out. And I said, hey, you can't control your teammates. The only thing you can control is your attitude. That's frustrating. It is, but you can't control that. The only thing you can control is the next pitch you're gonna throw. The only thing you can control is your attitude and the way you do that. And on top of that, I told him, you've also made errors too, right? So forgive your teammate.
mm.
Let's move on. Let's control what we can. So there's just a lot there, that teaching your children to focus on themselves rather than the situation and the other people that they can't control when they're being wronged, I think gives them a little bit more peace about what's going on, and just go, yeah, you know what, this stuff is going to happen, and focus on my character and my reactions and just being a good person, and good things will follow. And sometimes they don't, because our world is not perfect.
Yeah, we had a situation, or I had a situation similar to that with our older daughter. Yeah, she left a practice and was frustrated that people weren't putting in the effort, or they didn't win the scrimmage that they were participating in because she kind of felt like everybody wasn't yeah, putting in the effort, wasn't working hard at practice. And yeah, we had the same kind of conversation, just reminding her, did you go out there and do the best job that you could do? Okay, then that's all you can do. You walked away from it going, I did the best job that I could do. And sometimes you can't control the outcome of that, especially in a team setting like that. That's really hard. It's different, when you're talking about another kid taking your toy and how you respond. It's one thing to just kind of say, okay, I can control myself in that situation. And ultimately you can, but it's tough when it's a group situation like that, that as a team, you should be making those efforts to do better. And but yeah, just helping them to understand like grace needs to be given, like what you were talking about with the teammate on baseball, and um, just do your best and control yourself.
Yeah, in a weird way too, it doesn't contribute to the selfishness. Focusing on themselves. This is actually the one
Mm,
area that doesn't breed selfishness. So, my team didn't do this or that person wronged me. The selfish thing to do is to lash out at them or to react on that poorly. But the self-control and the respect for other people is
yeah,
actually to focus on yourself and say, okay, I need to change my attitude about that. I can't change what they did. I'm going to give them grace. Like that inward focus is actually selfless, and I think that's what's important with that.
that's huge. I never thought of it that way. It's so good. Keep focusing on that.
Let's see. Okay, this might be a fun one. I had down, and this one maybe is not necessarily parenting, but more on maybe marriage or family stuff. But
Okay.
I have down, we have roles, but not scorekeeping. So
Mm,
I think this is a very hot topic with people in marriages. It's always something that I don't know that there's never a black and white line, and so I feel like people are all over the map with what they believe on this. So some people are super one way, that they would say, my wife, what's the joke, like women have smaller feet because so they fit under the kitchen sink. You got those type of people, and then you have the other people that say, oh, there's the man can stay at home and do the dishes, and the wife should know how to fix the car and all. It just kind of, you got some extremes there, but I think the answer is actually like super right down the middle, honestly. um so my value there is, we have roles. My role as a man is different than her role as a woman. My role as a dad is different than her role as a mom. But I'm never scorekeeping. I'm never saying, well, I had to take out the trash, so you better do the dishwasher. No, I mean, it comes back to, we are a team together. We're raising our family as a team. Our family as a whole is a team. So, there are nights when Jessica has been running the kids around from appointment to appointment or sport to sport, and then I'm home 10 minutes earlier than her. Well, I'm going to go do the dishwasher because it just needs done. It's just something that needs done. There's no scorekeeping on that. Um, if I try not to sit down at night on the couch if she's up doing stuff, just because it's weird. I'm not gonna be like, well, I'm going to sit on the couch because I worked hard all day. Like, I
yeah.
mean, it could, people, I don't know. Again, that comes back to maybe some values of the people a little differently. But on the other hand, some of the people that, sometimes when guys say, "Oh, well, my wife does the dishwasher and my wife does the laundry and my wife does the cooking," I'm not doing any of that because I'm working. I'm going to ask you, okay, when was the last time you changed your furnace filter? When was the last time you checked the propane tank, make sure you have enough gas to get through the winter? When was the last time you checked your gutters, that they weren't clogged, so that your basement doesn't flood when it rains? Are you changing the oil filter and the oil on your vehicle? I mean, though, like, those are things that I see as my role. Tonight we got home from baseball, and there's a big storm coming, so I took a lap around the house and I found a gutter that was clogged that may have flooded our basement. So
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here expecting Jessica to do that, but I'm also not keeping score, coming in the house and being like, oh, I checked the gutters, so now you do the dishwasher. I
Right.
think that's just super. It's just very selfish. It's very damaging, and that scorekeeping in a marriage can really just build up. instead of just doing things together as a team, getting it done.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I also didn't expect you to come in and make all the pizza crusts for tomorrow night's friend hangout that the kids are having. So it just yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I think that that is harder said than done when it comes to caring for kids. Like you're kind of the examples you were giving were relating to specifically marriage and like taking care of the home and kind of managing life. But when it comes to the kids, I think that's where people struggle even more with scorekeeping. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't know that it's more, but I think it's more obvious. I
Mm,
think women are more outspoken about it.
for
Rather,
sure.
I think society, especially nowadays, is okay with the gray areas for traditional roles, as in, I'm doing things around the house, and a lot of men just aren't handy anymore. So they're making excuses, and saying, "Oh, well, my it's okay for my wife to work. She wants to pursue a career, so I'm going to come home and unload the dishwasher and do laundry too." That's a whole nother thing to unpack. But I think the
Right.
kids things with kids, I think women are just more outspoken about it, and I do think there are a lot of men out there that are still falling into some of those old ways where they almost don't believe it's their job to parent,
Mm.
like that they're their kids, but yet it's the woman. Well, you're with the kids, I'm working all day, you do this, it's not on me. And they're using that as an excuse to be lazy in their parenting. And then I think women just get overwhelmed, because that is overwhelming. No one should parent alone,
Alone.
by
Yep.
themselves, and it's not meant to be that way. And so if there is an imbalance if there's an imbalance in responsibility of parenting, it's going to be noticed, and it's going to be a burden. And so I think that's just more vocalized these days.
It's funny that you say that from a woman's perspective. I almost feel like we have encouraged men the wrong way in that. Like you're saying that there's probably a handful of both situations, right? So you're saying men are reverting back to or staying stuck in this thought process where like, oh, the kids, the things like that, that's all her job. Um, but I actually think that women have, well, you said women are more vocal about it. Women have been so vocal about it that they've almost pushed the men to be so um, like overly cautious about how involved they are just with their kids or doing all these things, like almost walking on eggshells so that the scorekeeping isn't happening with their wife because they and then if they're not being super handy and taking care of a lot of the types of things that Josh was just talking about, um, then there is room for them to help with some of those more traditional female roles or jobs that females tend to do, the roles for a woman. And I think it's getting a little muddy, and it feels like people are walking on eggshells. And in that process, I think that men are being emasculated by women sometimes by just having to walk on eggshells around them. Um, because there is a difference between being a strong leader and father and being confident in your role as a male and with that parenting your children, being involved in their life, supporting your wife in areas where she needs, and being kind of a passive puppy who follows her lead around making sure that she isn't doing too much or kind of babysitting those emotional bits that us women tend to have. And I say that because I know because I am a woman and I have had them too. I don't know if any of that makes any sense.
Yeah, definitely. Like I kind of said, there are definitely spectrums on both sides that go a little far one way or the other. And I think the key thing with that too, like I said, I don't think there's any black and white line on what a man should do and what a woman should do. So the basis of that is that the communication should be open between you and your spouse. So um, if you're feeling like your spouse is not doing enough to help you, be honest with them.
Yeah.
We have talks all the time, and sometimes one of us is frustrated and we talk about it, and then sometimes that person that was frustrated is like, you know what? Yeah, I was okay. I didn't see that from your perspective. I was overreacting. I'm sorry. Sometimes the other person is like, oh, yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, okay, I see how that may be slacking or that's coming across that way. So, having that open line of communication, it just comes back to the whole concept of that is that we're a team.
Hmm.
So if you're keeping score or keeping record, that's not necessarily being a great team. That's just even like when I go out with my brothers and we have a beer, sometimes I buy my brother a beer, sometimes he buys me one, sometimes my other brother picks it up, right? I mean, that's just what we do. Like we're brothers, we're good friends. I don't pull out a notebook or take out my phone and go, okay, I bought you beer last
Right.
time, now you're going to buy me a beer this time. No, it just happens, right? It's the same thing with
Hmm.
my wife. I don't keep track of how many times I unload the dishwasher every night. I just do it. If it needs done, cool, I do it.
Hmm. Yeah, I do think I will admit for me, it was a lot harder when the kids were younger. That felt like a lot of it fell on me, but a lot of sometimes it just does, especially if you're nursing. I mean, you're nursing, it's a baby. Sometimes a baby just wants mom. Like that's, and there is nothing that anybody else can do to fix that. It's just,
That's a
that's
great
just how it
example.
is. Like, yeah.
That's a great example of where teamwork can come in. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I know with our daughter, our second born, she was super attached to you. And so I took up
Hmm.
a lot more with the firstborn. I did a lot more around the house when you were just tied up or
Yeah.
things like that. It's an ebb and flow as things progress. So obviously, super early in a birth or in a child's life, like it's a lot on mom. But
Yeah.
that means that the parenting stuff is a lot on mom. But yet the stuff around the house can still shift over to the dad. There's still an equal level.
Hmm.
But again, you have your roles. There's no scorekeeping on who's doing what. It's just we have our different roles and we're both putting in the same amount of effort just in different areas.
Yeah.
um Sometimes, like we even said that I think that was hard for Jessica to accept was when I told her I was like, I'm gonna sleep. Yeah, I think you're gonna get up with the kids and you're gonna do that stuff in the middle of the night, but I'm gonna sleep because I cannot do as much as you and I
Hmm.
can't fill that void.
Yep.
So I'm going to get rest, and then tomorrow you're going to take a nap when the kids take a nap, and I'm going to take care of everything. And
Yeah.
it worked well, right? And that's I mean, she'd tell me plenty of times I'm stewing in the middle of the night staring at you sleeping,
Like, I'm so
but yet
jealous.
I'm sitting there in the daytime going, "Oh my god, I wish I could nap," but the kids are crawling over me while she's napping. And so
Mhm.
it's that ebb and flow, that teamwork. And then obviously as the kids get older, I'm able to take over a little bit more in the parenting, and then Jessica's able to settle back into a better routine with the stuff around the house. And that's how our roles work. That's how it should work.
All of that stuff just I mean, I wouldn't be the person that I am today if it weren't for kind of suffering in that way, you know? Like those are the types of things that grow you as a person to push through, staring at your baby in the middle of the night when you're like, "Hey, could we both just go to sleep? Like this would be a lot easier if we both went to sleep. Look at your dad. He's having a great time sleeping." And it really though, I think it was by like baby number 2. It was like, "It is so dumb for you to sit here and just sit here next to me and both of us be awake with this baby." Like it was just silly. And so that's what worked for us. And none of our babies were like super bottle fed not regularly. And so it just didn't make sense. Now, maybe if we would have had a bottle fed baby, that would have been different. We could have taken turns and that would have made sense, but it just didn't. And so one of the things I wanted to add to that was so many times when I felt that way, when I struggled with score keeping, if it still comes up now, so much of that is because I've not communicated what I've needed. And I haven't told Josh, "Hey, I need this from you," or "I'm struggling here." And I've gotten a lot better at that. And Josh can probably attest to that because I probably come into his office a lot more regularly now. But that seems better than blowing up at you on a Sunday morning on our way to church, right? Wouldn't you just take like a couple minutes during your workday instead of like a whole ride to church?
I used to joke it was the quarterly blow up. Just once a quarter, get it all out on me.
Yeah, it was not working. We don't recommend that. And also, I feel like we should preface it every single one of these with saying that everything we're talking about is not just perfectly happening over here. It's work, it's time and effort of figuring it out and continuing to work on it. So that's a good one.
Yeah. Did
Uh,
you have one? Or am I just
no,
on a
I left
roll?
my notebook upstairs. I'm terrible. Mine all kind of like fit within the same category, and I feel like you are better at writing yours down. Let's see, what's
Hmm.
this? Oh, I like that
I
one.
don't know.
No.
Focusing on the heart.
There's a huge storm in Iowa tonight, and there's an awesome frog on our window right over here. I wish you guys could see him. He's super cool. We had a little flash in the like a surge in the power here, but we're still up and running. So that's awesome. What do you think?
Um, I don't know. What about? Yeah, I don't know. Here, why don't you just start with that one then? If you like that one, go ahead.
Okay. What was it again? Read it again. Like, how did you word it?
Focus on the heart.
Focus on the heart. Okay. Oh man. I had a situation today with one of our kids where we have been, well, I think I mentioned on Tuesday night when we were talking, we have been trying really hard to buckle down on getting the kids to just clean up stuff around the house. So if you got something out, you need to put it back. That was been a huge conversation in our house basically this week. It's been going on for months, but this week it all came to a head. It was like something needs to be done. It's time to drop the hammer a little bit. And I had a discipline moment with one of our kids about leaving something out because I had been made it very, very clear. We had sat down, we'd had a conversation. I told everybody, here's the expectation, and here are the consequences if these expectations are not met, because we've got to work on this. This is an issue. And um, when we got done with our moment of discipline, we were talking through it. And I will tell my kids this multiple times, or I'm sorry, anytime that we have a discipline situation, sit down, we talk about it. I just tell them, Mom loves you too much to let you to continue to act this way. And um, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that. Make it about the heart. How did you word it again? I keep forgetting it.
Focus on the heart.
Focus on the heart. See, he wrote it well, and then I just keep butchering it. um, I just want them to know that our goal is not to just be these parents who are strict and mean and have all these rules and we never have any fun, or what I don't, which is not true because we have plenty of fun. But I don't want them to leave our house and think that we just had all these rules for no reason. It's about their hearts and about their character and who they're going to become. And it's just so much greater than, this tiny little bit in their life. It's about their whole life. And so that's a huge thing that we talk about pretty regularly. Like, Mom is worried about your heart. And I want to help you make better choices, um, and do the right thing. So that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, big thing for me talking about focusing on the heart is really in overall situations. So I know parents are not focused on their kids' hearts when they correct them, but that child lashes out and they might obey with what the parent told them to do,
Mm,
but they have a bad attitude, they stomp off, they talk back. That's your child does not have a good heart. Your child's heart is not in the right area. Even though they obeyed you and they did what you told them to, that is still an ugly view of your child, and that is what needs to be corrected. So
mm,
focusing on the heart is not just the actions, it's what's going on inside that I can mold my child and help them become a better person. If if we're just focused on the outcome and the actions, we're not actually making our children a better person. We're not training them to be better people. And that's the whole goal
Mhm.
of parenting. The whole
Yes.
goal of parenting is to let your kids go off and be better people because you were the ones that raised them. They start knowing absolutely nothing. And when they leave your house, that is the product of what you have trained them to be. So as we go through things, my kids, I'm always thinking about where's their heart in this? What is the ultimate um what's ultimately going on inside of my child that I can help shape them and mold them into a better person? And trying to think of some other examples, like what a heart issue might be. Um I
Oh.
guess one thing for us is like apologies.
Mm.
If somebody wrongs someone, we discipline, we deal with the actions and the consequence, but then we say, okay, now you're going to go apologize to that person because, and it's not just telling them to apologize, but it's telling them why, right? Okay, let's say one of our children hit another person. Well, that's okay. How would you feel if you were hit, or that's not okay that you didn't control yourself, or how would you feel if I hit you when I was mad at, if dad was mad at you and I hit you, how would that make you feel, right?
Right.
There's all that stuff that's making that child empathize with the other person to focus on their heart and make their heart go, oh yeah, that was bad. Not, well, mom and dad spanked me or disciplined me
Right.
because I hit someone. The ultimate thing is making them realize that was inappropriate and wrong behavior, and I need to change that.
Mhm.
And then the second part of that is going and apologizing to someone and doing it the right way. That's super difficult.
Yes.
All kids struggle with that. Okay, go say sorry. "Ooh, sorry." No, no,
Yeah.
look them in the eyes, say it loudly, say, I'm sorry I hit you, so that they believe that you actually are sorry about that. And if you're not sorry about that, we're going back to square one. We're
Mhm.
going back over what we just talked about. So that's another thing where the heart of the children, we've had some really extended training sessions because the whole goal is to get that heart right. Just because
Yes.
the child obeys you doesn't mean that their heart is in the right position and that you
Mhm.
actually helped that child become a better person in that training session.
Absolutely. Because if we, well, you, whatever, if we've ever had a situation where we had a discipline moment, we thought the heart was changed, and then you walk away from it and you realize, okay, actually, nothing here has changed. It is really important to go back to square one and to just stick it out with that child until you really see a heart change. Um, our fourth child is probably our the one who needs the most time for a heart change. Um, well, and really our oldest son did too when he was younger. But really our third son, he needs time. And so I actually have gotten to a point where I will give him time to think about it and give him a question to ponder. Like, I want you to tell me, I want you to think about, and I'll be back in a little bit. I want you to think about if do you believe that you did the right thing in that situation? Because I kind of have to start there with him, um, because he tends to be one who just goes straight to believing the lie that what he did was fine and he's going to justify it until the end. And so we start there. And then once we get to a place where it's like, no, that wasn't the right thing. I did this. I shouldn't have done that. Then it's like, okay, I want you to take time. And when you're ready, you can get up and go tell that person you're sorry. And you're going to find them, you're going to look them in the eye, you're going to tell them you're sorry, but only when you're ready, because we're not going to apologize when our heart is not really ready and needs to be from the heart and genuine, which is really hard sometimes. Um, what's what's cool though with apologies like that is I've seen our kids genuinely apologize from the heart, but almost still wrestle with it. Like you can tell that they know in their heart it's the right thing to do. Um, but that they're still wrestling with it, and not from an attitude standpoint, just from a that was really hard. That was really hard. I am I'm using all my effort right now to have self-control and do the right thing. And that's just when you know you've made a heart connection with your kid. So it's encouraging.
Well, and again, it transfers to adult life.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of times it's hard for me to apologize or hard for me to go do the right thing. So training
Yeah.
my kids to do it from a very young age, that's a
Yeah.
great skill in life that a lot of adults don't have that skill. I think our kids probably have a better skill doing that than way too many adults that can't apologize or humble themselves or admit they were wrong, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Time for another one?
Sure.
You don't have any?
Sorry.
My wife has no principles.
I like shopping. That's not a principle. But you have to have a budget to shop. So,
Yeah,
you
well.
know. Did you say yeah, whatever? We have a budget. I stay within the budget. Remember that $25 car wash that I got? You know, when you pull up, they just rope you in. I got in this line. Next thing you know, my tire's on the wheel, and I paid $25 for a car wash. All
Don't
right.
remind me.
Okay, what's next?
That wasn't in the budget.
That wasn't in the budget. I told him I'd cut back on those, though. In other words, I'm never doing that again. I'm never going back to that car wash. Uh,
I suppose we could just roll into.
what?
Oh, where'd it go?
Did you lose
I
your train of
had.
thought?
Yes, I mean I know. What? Where'd it go? Have a plan. Have a budget.
I saw
Uh,
that one on your list.
yeah. I suppose that isn't necessarily a parenting thing, but it does come across
Oh,
for
it's
some of
huge.
that.
How are you going to afford your children if you
It's
don't have
very
a
true.
budget?
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah. I think having a plan, having a budget is super important and probably allows you to be a better parent and provide for your kids and do
Absolutely.
things as a family. You know, when I got out of the military, our oldest son was 3 months old, and then I went back to school full time and I worked nights at the hospital and I worked weekends doing personal training and serving. And we didn't have much money, but we still had a plan. We knew, okay, here's our budget, here's what we need to survive, and the plan for the future stuff is we want a house. When I graduate school, we want to have a down payment, so let's save up for that.
Right.
We had 4 years to do that, and it wasn't much. There were some months that not much went into the house saving fund.
Right.
um, but then I got out of school, got my first job, we bought our house. Okay, let's sit down, let's tweak the budget. My income is a little bit different, the outflow is a little bit different as well. Okay, now what's our plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our house, we want to upgrade it a little bit. When we know the kids are going to start playing sports in a few years, and that's going to cost some money. Just different things like that. So, the plan, our foundation, that principle of having that plan, having that budget never changes. Sometimes, honestly, right now with my job in sales and moving into a new house a year ago, we're changing our budget like every month or two, and changing the plan and sitting down and going, okay, we hit this goal, what's next? And I think that's very important. You know, right now as our kids are getting older, sports are costing a lot more. And if
Yes.
I would have, I think if we would have been in this situation even 2 years ago, it would have been really overwhelming just with how expensive this costs. But
Right.
as we've come into this and we've had a plan that we want a budget so our children can play more sports and play those more advanced sports, more expensive tournament ball. Okay, let's tweak the budget. So now that money is going into that budget, and so when those costs come, we can afford it, and it's not taking out of anything else. It's not coming out of our vacation fund, or it's not coming out of our monthly fund or the improvement balance. It's we have a plan to set aside money for certain things that we know are coming. Same thing with vacations. You know, our
Mhm.
vacations, we we have a percentage of our budget allocated that goes into vacation funds, and then as that fund is built, we go, okay, what type of vacation can we afford? Let's go plan that type of vacation. Um, I mean, all kinds of stuff, just different. You know, a few years ago, I think we were really heavy on investing in retirement. And then about 18 months ago, I thought, you know what? My kids aren't going to be with, I don't know what shape I'm going to be in when I retire. Who knows if I can walk up the darn stairs with my knees from Afghanistan. So I'm putting all this money aside. I'm gonna scale back on the retirement. Let's go have fun with our kids. You know what? If I gotta be in a tiny Cracker Jack house when I retire because I had a blast with my kids when I was young, I don't think I will ever regret that.
No.
I have never in my life heard ever anyone say I regret how much I did with my kids when I was younger.
Yeah.
The biggest regrets I ever hear is I regret not doing more with my kids. So that's our plan
Yeah.
right now. We're budgeting for that. That's our lifestyle. That's our plan for things, and um, it's we're doing it as a team, and we're both on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember when you were in school and we were saving and just working through learning about budgeting and everything. I remember hitting that goal for a down payment on our house. And that was huge. I'm still proud of us for that. I still am so proud of you for working and just providing for us and caring for us. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be led by you in budget choices and lifestyle choices because when Josh and I got married, I didn't have a lot of money because, as I mentioned in the previous comment about my shopping that I really like, but I was so proud of myself. What did I have? I think I saved like $1,000 before we got married, and I'll never forget. We go to the bank right after we get married, and we put our accounts together. And Josh just turns to me and he goes, "Wow, you had more in there than I thought you were going to." And I was like, "That was my goal, was that you'd be so proud of me." For that little bit that I saved before we got married. So I had something to show for myself when we put our bank accounts together, which is ridiculous. But I'm so grateful. That was really hard. And it took a lot of years for my heart to change and just to give up control of that and let him lead me in that. And there were times where I would buy something and you would be like, "No, you need to return that." And I mean, you want to talk about getting a spanking for a fit. I probably needed one. I probably needed one.
I spanked
Um,
you after you returned it.
yeah. And that's how we have 5 children. Anyways. Oh man. No, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. So I would just encourage, honestly, at this point, with the way that people struggle with money so much nowadays, I would encourage either one, either person in the relationship to give up control and let one of you lead budgeting. If it's the woman, okay, fine. Maybe, we have friends who she is more of the budget person. And that's okay. Like just get yourself right with your money. It's so worth it. And you will actually have more freedom within the boundaries of your budget than you do just living paycheck by paycheck. It's,
That's the
yeah.
irony of it too, is that by having strict budget and planning, you actually have more freedom.
Yes.
We each have an allowance, and we have a set amount that goes into that allowance. And so no matter where we're at in life with finances, what we're doing, that's our allowance. So there's nothing, we never feel bad or guilty of having the freedom of having our allowance. If I save up enough to buy a dirt bike, I that came from my allowance. That didn't come from my family. That didn't I didn't have to pull those funds from anywhere that I need to feel guilty about or that my wife is going to be upset with me about.
Right.
uh we go on a family vacation. Sometimes our vacations were $500 for backpacking, for a week, and that's all we could afford. And then this year, a few months ago, we saved up for quite a while, and we went to a tropical island for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the freedom of that, where you keep a strict budget. We've said this with boundaries with kids. You keep strict boundaries and things, it actually allows for more freedoms. And it's
Absolutely.
the same thing with budgeting. That strict budget, that strict plan leads to just a super guilt-free and peaceful spending on whatever's coming out of the budget.
Mhm. On the other hand, we've had conversations about how do we stay humble as we've been blessed and just had more over the years. It was a lot easier to just be grateful for having an allowance to spend $20 on a, whatever. It was something small, right? Versus getting to a place where, like he said, if you want to buy a dirt bike, shoot, you can. And it doesn't affect our doesn't it doesn't affect anything. It's part of the budget and it's planned for and it's okay. But that's been a big thing we've talked about is how do we show our kids to still that we can still live humbly and maybe is humble the right word in that situation? Like, would you say that? Or just frugally, maybe? Maybe
Yeah.
frugally's
Wise.
frugally.
I'd
Is that
say
a word?
wise.
Wise. There we go. Just wise with our money. And not just throwing it all away just because we have it. Also, maybe intentional. Intentional with our money would be
Yeah.
another word too. The more intentional with our money that we are, the more wise, just the better choices and teaching our kids that.
Yeah. Um, I was talking to my oldest son the other day, and Cubs season is up, baseball season, and I am, the Cubs used to be free on WGN TV, and now you got to pay for Marquee Network. And I was telling my son I was struggling with it. I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I want to spend my allowance to, buy the month by month plan to watch the Cubs." And he's like, "What do you mean your allowance?" And I said, "Well, where else is that going to come from? I like to watch the Cubs. Is that coming out of our monthly budget? That comes out of the family stuff? Does it come out of the vacation? No, it's my thing that I want to buy extra, so that would come out of my allowance." And I could tell the wheels were kind of spinning him thinking about that, and I was happy I said that to him, and we had that short interchange because I think that's a huge lesson to him. And he thought, there's a lot of responsibility, um, and humbleness there. And again, the fact that like I'm struggling with buying with it, that's a real thing. My
Hmm.
kids all the time. You go into the store, they want this off the shelf, they want that off the shelf. We go to that, and I go, okay, how much money do you have? How much would you have left? Okay, let's think about it. Let's go see if we can find a new price, and then or go find a better price online or
Right.
something. Let's price shop. Let's see. We'll sleep on it. Just those things that are making the kids sort of conscious about that and intentional. And um, again, we have a plan, we have budgets, and I want to pass that down to them and be open with them about that.
When you said you tell the kids, like, we'll think about it, let's sleep on it, whatever. So one of our kids the other day in the grocery store, we're just checking out, right? And there's a bunch of candy and crap in the aisle that's just literally to catch your eye and try to get you to buy it. And he comes up to me and he goes, "So I've been thinking about buying something." And I'm like, "No, you have not." I just like shut that down right away. I was like, "You just saw that candy. And there is no way that you have been thinking about that for a long time." And I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
There's one especially that really thinks about things a lot when he first sees them. So
he sounds wise when he tells you. He's
he
got it down. He's got it down.
exactly.
But I know from your spending behaviors, you don't have it down.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
It's
that's why
great.
we're teaching them.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and what does that go back to the principle of like if you give them an inch, they take a mile. So, if you say like, "Oh, I've been thinking about that," and you allowed it that one time, then it's going to happen again. Well, I had told you that the story we had gone to Costco and my oldest who genuinely had been thinking about it said, "I want to buy one of the ice cream things that they have there, whatever the Sundays, like $2.50, right?" You're thinking, okay, that's not that much. He's been thinking about it. Sure, go ahead. Well, then of course, all his siblings are like, "We want one too." And I ended up saying yes that one time that they all could spend their money on it. It's $2.50. I thought, all right, that's okay. But then sure enough, the next month we went back to Costco and guess who asked me? And I was like, "No, this has not become a regular thing." We did that. And even that, I told Josh, I lie awake at night going, "Oh, was that a good choice? Was that an impulse buy? Should I have let just one of them buy it and not the other one buy it?" It's tough to make those decisions.
I do that when I buy
So,
stuff.
yeah.
Some of us do that when we buy things.
I know. I'm trying to be responsible. Okay. I'm working on it. All right. What's the next one? You got a different one?
I don't know. We're almost an hour in. Should we?
Okay.
I
I
think
gotta make pizza crust.
I think we just do another one of these on Tuesday.
Yeah? Okay.
I don't
Also,
know.
guys, we got a
Let's
ring
do it.
light. Do we look better? Because I am sweating. Are you sweating?
I mean, I'm a little warm, but
This thing is hot.
it's not.
All right, maybe it's just me,
There's no way it's
but we
hot.
look better.
I don't think it's possible to look better.
We just look, trust me, we look better.
Okay.
It was rough before.
All right. Anyways, we're gonna call it a night. Thanks for hanging. Come check us out on the Twitch channel sometime. Right now, the schedule is Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8:30 Central. Come join us, chat about stuff, whatever you want to talk about, any topics, any questions. Otherwise, if you do need any help with anything, you can reach out to us. The email is josh@protegeparenting.com. You can message us on Facebook, however you want to get in touch with us. We offer counseling sessions, one-on-one. We can do couple to couple, man to man, wife to wife, woman to woman, whatever. However you need help, we're here to help you and provide those services. So get in touch with us, come join us, and we're looking forward to it.